Today we look at creating the character of Alkyra, a Bladesinger wizard Echo Knight multiclass who's trying to uncover her past while dealing with the fracturing of her present. Welcome to Talesmith Tavern. Here at Talesmith Tavern, we create and catalogue D&D and TTRPG characters, items, spells, locations and stories. We add eloquent descriptions, expand lore, and provide build guides and accompanying art. And give you all the content that you need to make your character or campaign a deep and richly engaging one. So if you want to support the tavern, consider becoming a subscriber. For only a couple dollars a month, you gain access to everything in the library, plus a ton of additional features, and it helps us in creating a lot more content in the future. Even if you don't want to subscribe, simply signing up to the Talesmith Tavern website enables you to like content and even submit your own content into the library for everyone to be able to see. There are dozens of achievements to be able to complete, and by doing so, you can even earn yourself 3 months of your subscription. So if you want to see a full write-up of what we're talking about today, or simply browse all the content that we have on to offer at Talesmith Tavern, the URL is here on the screen or in the description below. Now, on to the build. Starting off at level 1. For our race, we are going to be taking the Shadakai and take the background of criminal. This sets up our start of our character arc for Alkyra. Alkyra as a young elf is drawn into the service of the Raven Queen, where she serves under her doing nefarious acts for hundreds of years, to the point where she forgets her past. One evening though, it all changes for her as she descends upon an elf village to pillage and taunt and bring despair as instructed by the Raven Queen, when something sparks in her memory. It's a moment of herself remembering as a child when she herself was taken in a similar sort of pillaging moment by those acting on behalf of the Raven Queen. Suddenly she remembers all that she's lost and realizes who she's become, and all those memories start kind of coming back in dribs and drabs, and so she pledges to leave the Raven Queen's servitude and instead forge her own path to rediscover who she was. As a Shadakai, we get a few benefits like trance, letting us complete a long rest in 4 hours, and then becoming proficient in 2 weapons or tools that we pick. So if we're not proficient in, say, a short sword, I would be doing that here. We also get necrotic resistance, which is very handy, Fey Ancestry for advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and the big one is Blessing of the Raven Queen, where as a bonus action, you can teleport up to 30 feet to a spot which you can see, and doing so a proficiency times per day. Class-wise, we can either take a level of Artificer or a level of Fighter. Both give us proficiency and constitution saving throws, which we will want for this build. When I played this character, I took Artificer because I didn't want to slow down that spell slot progression, so we'll go with that. But we will eventually be taking Fighter levels as well, so it is completely up to you. Ability score wise, we are focusing on dexterity, intelligence, and constitution, and so we will take our +2 racial into dexterity and a +1 into constitution. If you want to be more spell focused, you could also take that +1 into intelligence instead. Skill proficiencies wise, we're picking up perception from our race, which is great. We'll pick up deception and stealth from our background, and then feel free to pick any others that make sense based on your class. Tash's Cauldron of Everything gave us the option to be able to change a skill, so chat to your DM to see if you can move things around. Investigation is certainly one you would like to pick up, but I wouldn't see a proficiency in Arcana or History making much sense given the backstory of Alkyra. Items wise, make sure to pick up some studded leather, a short sword, and maybe a shield as well, just to help with that AC. At level 2, Alkyra encounters the remnants of her hometown, or perhaps the scattered remains of items from her hometown. It's an event that really starts to bring back those memories of Alkyra's family, specifically her mother. Her mother would hum to her as they would play, and she would sing these melodies and make wonders appear in the air with her hands. And Alkyra realizes that her mother must have been well versed in the arcane. And that must mean that it is the same for her as well. Within the remnants of her memories and the remains that she finds looking around, she finds an old spell book and a way forward embracing what her mother once knew. In such a case, now we're taking wizard level, so at character level 2, we are wizard 1. so we will be picking up some cantrips. Booming Blade and Green Flame Blade are definites. Mage Hand is great for some utility. We also get some first level spells. I'm definitely recommending Absorb Elements and Shield, as well as Silvery Barbs is always good. Detect Magic also comes in handy. Primarily though, we really want the Find Familiar spell. You cast it as a ritual and summon a little familiar spirit that joins you on your journey. I would pick the owl, as he's cute to perch on your shoulder, and you can use that flyby to swoop in and stealthily and give you advantage on your next attack roll. For Alkyra, she names her owl Lunara. At character level 3, Wizard 2, we get our subclass, and we'll be taking the Bladesinger Wizard for the martial prowess that is enhanced by the arcane. With every new level, Alkyra is remembering a little bit more about her mother. As a Bladesinger, you don't actually need to have a song, but for this character, it just seemed perfect for Alkyra to hum that little melody, that sweet lullaby that her mother had hummed to her as a child. And this will bring her into that focus and control that we see in a combat situation when you are blade singing. So roleplay that however you like, but I just love the picture of Alkyra humming this gentle, almost childlike melody as she swings a sword around. Now, we also get an extra feature for our Blessing of the Raven Queen at character level 3, where now when we teleport as a bonus action, we become ghostly and translucent, and we actually resist all damage until the start of our next turn. It's a pretty cool feature to be able to resist all damage. There's only a few subclasses that get access to that, and it's really handy for us as a Bladesinger. The teleporting by using this Blessing of the Raven Queen is actually where much of Alkyra's story arc lies, and it's where it's developed from, as she can now feel that she is disconnected from the Raven Queen a bit, and so this ability is becoming a little bit more chaotic. At character level 4, we are Wizard 3, and so we get some second level spells. Our primary one that we're going to take is Shadow Blade. You cast it as a bonus action, and then it summons this ghostly spectral blade in your hand. It does require concentration, so remember that, and we also need a free hand, so maybe pop the shield away and carry the short sword in the other hand. Consider then that we would be able to be using 2-weapon fighting, with a short sword in one hand and the shadow blade in the other. Also consider other spells at this level. Considering Mirror Image doesn't require concentration, it's a good one to consider using in battle. At level 5, Wizard 4, we are taking our first ASI or feat, and because we are a sub-race of Elf, we can take Elven Accuracy. It's going to bump our dexterity by 1 to bring us to 18, and Elven Accuracy lets us re-roll an additional d20 for our attack roll whenever we have advantage. Now remember, with Shadow Blade, if you're in dim light or darkness, you automatically have advantage on every attack when you swing with that. That's not just once per turn, that's once every time that you swing with a Shadow Blade in dim light or darkness. At character level 6, we're Wizard 5, and we're going to be picking up 3rd level spells. And while something like Haste would be amazing for the extra attack, since we haven't quite gotten to extra attack yet, we also would be using our concentration, so we can't use it in tandem with Shadow Blade. Maybe another spellcaster can cast Haste on you, but while I might pick it up, I might not necessarily be using it every single combat. Other 3rd level spells to consider are definitely something like Counterspell, and of course we have to pick up Fireball. At character level 7, we are Wizard 6, and now we get our extra attack. Unlike other classes or subclasses that get extra attack, the Bladesinger extra attack is very unique, where we can swap out one of our attacks for a cantrip. That means that we can use Booming Blade or Green Flame Blade as our one attack, and then still get to be able to use extra attack using our Shadow Blade. Now remember, Green Flame Blade and Booming Blade do have a requirement of a material component that costs at least 1 silver piece, so you can't use your Shadow Blade with your Booming Blade or Green Flame Blade cantrip, but you can use that short sword. And hopefully by now you might have picked up a magic short sword, maybe a +1, and you can definitely use it with that. Now remember, we also have to use a bonus action with our Shadow Blade, a bonus action to be blade singing, so we're becoming a little bit bonus action heavy. And our teleport also uses our bonus action as well. So I would be considering when we're going into combat what we can use, and hopefully we can anticipate combat to start Bladesinging a little bit early. Now remember, it only lasts for 1 minute though. Now the other thing to remember is because we're using 2-weapon fighting and our cantrip is considered an attack, it means that when we go to use our bonus action 2-weapon fighting, we can either use our short sword or our shadow blade. It doesn't specify in the wording that we have to necessarily use one or the other because we have made an attack using each of them. So we can easily first attack using our shadow blade, our second attack being with our cantrip and our short sword, and then our third attack through a bonus action being with the shadow blade again. Consider it's 2d8, or if we upcast it, it gets those extra d8s on its attack. Alkyra is starting to notice though that when she's teleporting around using her Blessing of the Raven Queen, she's feeling like she's either racing ahead of herself or feeling a bit lethargic when she appears. It's like whenever she uses it, she's not quite present with where she is in the moment, and it's a bit unsettling for her. That lethargy especially is what she feels like more martial prowess is going to improve upon. And so now when we get to level 8, we're starting to go into fighter. So we'll be fighter 1 and we'll be picking up a fighting style, and we'll be picking up superior technique for the trip attack option. We only get to use it once per short rest, but when it works, it gives us another avenue to use our elven accuracy, as when we make a character prone, we're able to then attack with advantage. We also get another healing option here, which is always good. At character level 9, we will be fighter 2, and that gives us action surge. So once per short rest, we can now action surge when necessary to make up for the time taken to be able to have all this stuff setting up. By character level 10, Alkyra is feeling that teleporting from the Blessing of the Raven Queen is now becoming a bit more of a curse, as she feels that when she tries to teleport, she's fracturing between space and time. This culminates in her ghostly presence, usually seen when she first emerges from her teleportation, starting to manifest on the battlefield even while she's still physically present there. So yes, at character level 10, we're taking Fighter 3 and we're picking the Echo Knight subclass. This just adds so much flavour to Alkyra's character and so much roleplay potential. I love the idea of her having slowly descended into this ghostly translucent form when she's teleporting, and then suddenly just the unease that she would feel when she starts actually seeing that figure of her appearing on the battlefield even when she's trying to be present. When I played this character, I described the echo created from a manifest echo as though it was a fragmented snapshot of her, as Alkyra even in her past, maybe as a child or a teenager, and as well as her future. And when she would jump between them, it was almost as though she was making it her present. Yes, this character was already bonus action heavy, and we've just added it to some more, but it's fine, it's going to be amazing, and you can pick and choose what you want to use given the situation. Plus, it just adds so much flavour, it's really hard to resist. But with the fracturing now more evident, the training hasn't really helped, and so at character level 11, we are going back to Wizard. So we'll be Wizard 7, and that gives us some 4th level spells. Now, things like Banishment feel appropriate, Greater Invisibility is great as well. Yes, both are concentration, so really you're going to evaluate when and where you want to use them given what you're facing in your combats. At character level 12, we are Wizard 8, which gives us some more spells as well as our next ASI or feat. If you don't have a headband of intellect by now, then I'm going to suggest bumping your intelligence. Otherwise, taking something like mobile or tough would be a good option as well. At character level 13, we are going to be Wizard 9, and so that means 5th level spells. So definitely consider taking something like Wall of Force, and I also really enjoyed using Steel Wind Strike on this character. You flourish a weapon and then you choose 5 creatures within range to attack. You make a melee spell attack on each of them and hit, dealing 6d10 of force damage. You then teleport to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of one of those targets, and what's great about this is it feels like it fits really thematically with this character. It's also not concentration, which is also really good. So you could cast Greater Invisibility on yourself, then cast Action Surge. Now, Greater Invisibility is concentration, but Steel Wind Strike isn't. So you could then cast Steel Wind Strike to give yourself advantage on every one of those 5 attacks. And because you're attacking with advantage, we're using your intelligence as it is using a melee spell attack, you can actually apply Elven Accuracy to all 5 of those attacks. Remember, Greater Invisibility gives you advantage on your attacks when the enemy cannot see you, and Greater Invisibility doesn't drop when you cast a spell. Now, character level 14 and level 15 really depend on what you feel fits your campaign. You could go into Wizard more for more levels in spells, or you could take a 2nd level in Artificer to give you infusions such as Mind Sharpener if you feel like you were requiring to make more concentration rolls, or you could even take another level in Fighter for another feat or ASI. But the journey of Alkyra has finally led her to accepting her new existence. She is broken. She has experienced brokenness from the moment that she was brought underneath the servitude of the Raven Queen, and she's experienced different levels of brokenness ever since. And while she seeks the answers to heal some wounds, like the brokenness she feels between her and her other family members, she has embraced the fractured nature of her own existence. And she'll fight on, humming that same tune, even if she's appearing and disappearing, watching snapshots of her life as she fights around the battlefield. She will continue to do this probably until the day that she goes to teleport away, disappearing for a moment, and that's it. She just never appears again. If you like this character and would like to see the full write-up, including the full character arc, descriptions on their personality, traits, roles, bonds, ideals, flaws, expansive tips on how to roleplay this character, as well as advice to give to your DM on how to include this character art and different special moments that they can include to really integrate your character into their campaign, all of that is available on the Talesmith Tavern website. The URL is in the description below. Until next time, thank you for visiting the Talesmith Tavern, and I will see you next time.